So I want to share with you, isn't this a neat slide, the ripple effect of advocacy. So, you know, when I started out as an unknowing EL advocate in my school as the only ESL teacher, it was just me advocating for my kids in my classroom. And then I began to branch out with the content teachers, with the other elementary school grade level teachers. And I'm, you know, still the same person, but now I'm at the next level, right? And I've reached more kids and I've reached more families. And then, you know, we get a group of teachers together, and we were actually able to change a policy in the district when I was there that was, you know, one of the Emilys this morning talked about special education, right? There were too many Ls being referred. Where I was, it was the opposite. They wouldn't even consider an English learner for special ed referral until they were at an intermediate level of English proficiency. But which was a catch-22, right? Because maybe something was happening to prevent that kid from getting the level of proficiency they needed. So we were able to lobby, you know, get teachers, get guidance counselors, get speech pathologists, get other psychologists together to change that policy. So I moved to the next level of advocacy. And then after that, you know, you're going to the district level. We're now at the national level of advocacy. Imagine all the ripples that you're going to create here today and tomorrow when you go up to the Hill and advocate. So it's really, it might feel like it's just you alone, but you have such a great network here, and you know, your advocacy is really going to be expanded. So I hope you see that. And part of advocating effectively, you know, in your context, and even, you know, tomorrow when you're out there, is thinking of, you know, what do you have control over in your environment? You know, you really have to figure out what, for lack of a better term, picking your battles, right? What are your battles going to be, and what can you control? What can you have an influence over realistically right now? And then think of, you know, what do you not have control over in your environment? And this is, and some of these thoughts are from Paul Gorski, who's a professor at George Mason, who wrote a little piece in my book that's much better than my writing, I think. He's great. And so think about these questions, and then when you're prioritizing and strategizing your advocacy, then link up with the people that you know who are most sympathetic to your cause, who have the most power in the context where you are. It might be a grade level teacher, it might be a guidance counselor, it might be your assistant principal or a principal. Go to that person that you know is sympathetic and that also is on board with advocating for English learners, and join forces with that person or those people. You might not want to go straight to the top if you know that person at the top is not really amenable or interested in working with English learners. So definitely, you know, think, and when you're talking today with your colleagues, think about how you're going to strategize your advocacy. Another piece of English learner achievement and advocacy is collaboration. So, you know, advocacy and the ESL teacher makes these gears go around. And I want to point out that TESOL definitely, as an association, recognizes advocacy, especially in terms of the Common Core and what the ESL teacher brings to this. TESOL brought together a group of teachers and policymakers and researchers to talk about these three kind of guiding questions. And teachers and the people involved, you know, unanimously felt that the ESL teacher's role with the Common Core needs to shift, along with the shifts in the Common Core, as one of consultant, expert, and advocate. And I'm sure you're all, you know, doing that in your context as well. How are you collaborating? You don't want to come off too strong, right? You want to set the right tone. And, you know, these are some of the soft skills that we're often not taught in our teacher education programs or leadership programs or just, you know, in general. But really think about what your skills are, what your people skills are, and build on those soft skills. You've really got to show respect to get respect, right? In terms of working with content teachers, respect their expertise and share with them, you know, how much content knowledge they bring as you're, you know, kind of getting them on board to advocate for English learners with you. Use public relations skills, you know, model student work, be, you know, the voice, be a positive voice about English learners. Point out all the achievements they're making. These achievements might be invisible to classroom teachers who aren't seeing, you know, huge academic growth, but you could show English language proficiency score growth, for example, is one way to show how they're progressing. Begin slowly and gently. You know, I would start off, you know, really kind of thinking of how you're going to begin, who you're going to work with, and what you're going to try to accomplish. Maybe next year, going into next school year. You might have, you know, 5 things you want to work on, but maybe just choose 1 or 2 to really delve into and try to focus on. And demonstrating this empathy and offer, you know, not just you know, we need you to advocate, but also offer strategies. So in terms of instruction, and especially, you know, show teachers, well, here's a strategy. I know you're going to be teaching this unit. This might be a way that you can help scaffold a little more for English learners. So you share those strategies up front with them that they can use, you know, the next day and model the strategies as well. Another tool that I use with educators, we do a lot of professional development with districts and with states around ESOL leadership skills, ESL teacher leadership skills and collaboration. And so one way is to really, you know, do you know exactly what you do and how you can explain that to someone else? Because in our field, there are so many different program types of English ESL programs and bilingual programs, and there's so many different certification requirements across the country that what you do at one school as an ESL teacher might be completely different as, you know, your neighboring school, what they're expected to do. So one way to really help you define what it is that you do when you talk to someone and try to make these changes is to develop an elevator speech. So really, you know, a 30-second sound bite, you know, series of sound bites of what your expertise is, to be seen as an expert and an advocate and a consultant, especially with, you know, rigorous content standards. And so we've actually got on the Coloring Colorado blog, we have people who have videoed their own elevator speeches. So you can go on, you can add your own. It's a great community, it's really fun to do. And see what other ESL teachers, what other advocates are doing out there in the field. So I encourage you to, you know, get out your laptop or your iPad and, you know, record your own elevator speech.